Clover's range of margarines and spreads. Classic spread. Mama Bake.
Margie, how do you know what we like?
I know someone who knows.
Spread the Margie love.
With love by Clover.
Sure, and of course, nothing beats a classic, hearty South African stew. And now, of course, Waterblommetjies. Yeah, you heard it correctly. Waterblommetjies have just come into season. And what better way to celebrate this water plant than a delicious meat-free Monday Waterblommetjie Bredie. This sounds delicious, sounds interesting indeed. And who's going to be taking through this magic? It's Herman Lensing. He's showing us how all of this comes together. How are you doing this morning, brother?
Doing well, doing good.
Oh, it's good to have you in the kitchen, man. These things are looking so weird. They're space-like. I don't see many of them, and I'm sure everybody at home is just dying to know, what is a Waterblommetjie?
Yeah, you haven't lived until you had a proper Waterblommetjie Bredie. You can't say stew, it's like a Bredie.
Okay.
So Waterblommetjies is indigenous to South Africa, specifically to the Boland.
Okay, yeah.
You won't find it anywhere else in the world. There's rumors that there were some of them growing in Monet's gardens in France, probably the French Huguenots who took them there. But you get a similar sort of pond wheat growing in Australia, but nothing comes close to the Kaapse Waterblommetjies. It's
Wow,
really...
so specific to the Boland region.
Yes.
This is like fine dining delicacy for a weed, eh?
Sy is die voorblad nooi van die Boland. She's amazing. So what's amazing, you can serve them, like you said, we're going to serve them meatless, but traditionally in my house, I will take a long time. You'll make like a lamb stew with maybe some lamb rib, long, and you stew it for long in the oven to get that. It's a beautiful thing.
So I'd imagine if you had the option of like a little potjie dish, this would be the winner.
Amazing, yeah.
Like for everybody that doesn't have the potjie dish, how do they make this magic come together?
So we start with some clover spread.
Okay.
What's nice about this, there's a lot of vitamins in there. I think there's 10 vitamins and it's all healthy and good. So like a big... No one can say no to fat.
True, I think we're using this a lot for a couple of our meals in the kitchen, so always adding some extra vitamins and getting the good stuff in there. Of course, you guys just tuned in and you're just tuning in. Head over to expressshow.com if you're wondering what is going on here. We're making Waterblommetjie Bredie. Oh, it's absolutely, sorry, and it's absolutely Bredie. And it's smelling absolutely delicious already. It's almost a delicacy when it comes to our region, so obviously head over to expressshow.com to find out how we're putting this Bredie together. Smelling very, very interesting already.
Okay, so we've got our onions in there. You're basically sweating the onions with some fresh garlic, always fresh garlic. Those things you buy in the bottle, that's not garlic.
Okay, so I should throw mine away then?
Yes, we want beautiful fresh garlic to give you that sweet nuances, that beautiful notes that you get.
All right.
That's what typically known for Bredie. I like to add coriander, always whole coriander. You just grind it up coarsely. Coriander is a classic combination that goes with any Bredie, especially when you use lamb, but obviously we're going meat-free, so we want to create those big flavors that you would classically get in a meat
Random
dish.
question, if someone wanted to add meat to a dish like this, is that an option?
Yes, of course. So at this stage, what I'll do is I'll add all my aromatics, my herbs, all my spices. Then I'll take I like to use either lamb neck or lamb rib. Okay. We'll add it in this stage. And let it brown slowly with the onions.
Slow, yeah, I like that.
And then you first cook down your meats until it falls off the bone. Because you want to get that meat, all that meat juices, and then you add all the rest of the ingredients.
Right. But let's keep it meat-free as we continue, of course. So where we often are, you're still making those little infusions of flavors?
Adding some smoked paprika. So when you make meatless dishes, it's important to use big aromatics. You want to use flavors that are big. So I like to call it meat dishes for vegetarians. So you don't always need meat in a dish. So you want that big flavor, the smokiness of the paprika, the flavors of the coriander, all those big flavors.
And that's substituting for the lack of the textures and the meat flavors that you would have normally had, right?
And we're not trying to substitute meat. We're trying to create an experience. I always like to tell people it's not necessary to always have meat in your food. You can create flavorful dishes with all that flavors, and if meat is there, it's good, but if it's not there, you're not missing out on anything. We're going to add our Waterblommetjies. Okay. Make sure they're cleaned very well. When you buy them from a farmer, directly from a farmer, what I like to do is you put them in a tub, salted water, let them soak overnight. Okay. Then you take them out and you have to rinse them very well. Remember, it's a weed, so inside there will be a lot of little goedjies that you have to wash out. So
it actually looks like a bit of a prawn tail, actually, now that I'm looking at it.
It's a vegetarian prawn tail. Nice. I'm going to take that one. Okay, so we fry that. All right. Then we add potatoes. Obviously very important when you make any form of a stew or Bredie. Yes. Potatoes are important. It's going to give you that little, like that lijmerigheid, we say in Afrikaans, like that Bredie texture.
Now, I mean, I've got to just switch it up just a little bit here because I know we have a lot of international guests that are watching the show and people from all over the world. And unfortunately, not everyone can get to Boland. So if we don't have a Waterblommetjie, Is there a substitute, or should we just stay away from this
Yes,
dish?
of course. There always is a substitute. Think of a waterblommetjie as a classical, like a green bean.
Yeah.
Or like maybe a Brussels sprout.
Okay.
All those sort of, like a green bean is a very good substitute for this. You also get them frozen, but in my kitchen, I prefer to use fresh ingredients. So if you can't find this, a green bean is a very good substitute. Obviously, it's going to cook a bit shorter because green beans are smaller.
Yes.
And like a Brussels sprout is also good. Just be careful with Brussels sprouts. They tend to turn bitter if you stew them too long. So in my kitchen, I would rather go the green bean route.
All right, I'm not saying no to anything that you say comes out of your kitchen. Oh.
And then the last bit, we add some, this is obviously veggie stock, but if you're not cooking for straight vegetarians, you can use a chicken stock or a beef stock to get that added meat flavors. But we're keeping it vegetarian, so a beautiful veggie stock. And then we just let that simmer slowly. The secret to a bredie, it takes time. You can't hurry it. It must simmer slowly. You must get all that beautiful flavors to develop. In my kitchen, typically, I would take this pot at this stage and put it in the oven and let it sort of roast in the oven slowly. Every now and then, come there, give it a stir, add some liquids. Very important, obviously, seasoning. Because a bredie isn't sort of, we want to make sure that flavor shines. So you might have to add fresh sea salt and obviously black pepper. Typically in a South African kitchen, if you make a bredie, you'll use white pepper.
Yeah.
I always say there's only two places in my kitchen where you use white pepper. That's when you fry an egg with that lots of butter you pour over, and when you make a stew. You want that soft burning sensation of the white pepper. But now, black pepper is also good.
All right. So you've got everything in the dish, and how do we get it from that beautiful pot into the plated version?
Yeah, so once it's broken down, stewed a little bit, we're going to add some butter beans, obviously, to make it more substantial, and that's it. The secret to a waterblommetjie bredie is always to serve it with a bit of acid. Classically, in the olden days, they would use sirang, which is also a wheat that you find around the ponds. So we'd add some sirang, which gives you that flavor. Nowadays, we don't get it so sorrel. In English, I think sirang is called sorrel.
Okay.
So we add just a squeeze of lemon juice, some fresh herbs, and that's it. Serve it with rice.
Voila!
And Bob's your uncle.
Oh, man, thank you so much for schooling us and educating me. Waterblommetjies, that's what it is, of course. Head over to theexpressoshow.com to get the recipe that you have just seen. And in case you missed on how it is made, don't worry, here's a quick recap.
Made with love by Clover.